Texas says she's found the legendary chupacabra.
By the Martin family, who dedicated the rest of their lives to getting answers about his disappearance.
Right there. See?
Uh-huh.
Look.
There's another scarf. You see what else?
What's that?
Hello and welcome back to Tales from Delphi National Park, the podcast where my friend and I talk about the weird, scary, and mysterious true stories that happen in our neck of the woods. My name is Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by my friend Benjamin. Benjamin, how are you doing? That's not actually your first name.
Do we have to get into this now, Hunter? My name is Ben, or Benjamin,
Sorry.
and that's all the public needs to know.
Okay, well.
It's not a matter of firsts or middles or lasts. So
Hey, man, I'm just trying to be truthful here. Okay?
yeah, there's truth and then there's privacy. So I feel like those two.
You know what? That's a great point.
They go in. They're in tension. You know.
We can take it from...
You just overstep the line. So.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. That's on me, really. No, we can take it from Miss Chapel Roan when she talked about her whole parasocial comedy.
Uh-huh.
I can see you rolling your eyes.
Nothing rolled. I more just kind of sighed and then leaned back.
It's whatever.
I settled in for the story, you know? That's what I'm here
Okay.
for.
Sure. Well, as you can see, we both moved.
Yeah, we
That's
did.
fun.
That's crazy. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that because I'm in my new place with my family. This is my little den, my little hidey hole with them.
Your hidey hole.
Yeah.
And then I moved closer to where I work. So
Yeah. Where is
nice.
that again? What's the what is it? The address?
Why
Oh,
did
zip
you
code.
need to...
Maybe the zip
Oh.
code. Let's just start there.
Are you asking my IP address currently?
No, I'm starting with your zip code. IP address is
Okay.
that's later.
Yeah, no.
Sometime after social, like shortly after. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So so you want me to give that out?
I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, so my social security number is
Okay.
uh
Okay. One more time.
anyway.
Actually, I need to write. No.
nah, yeah. So yeah, we're moved in. We're
Mhm.
excited.
I'm set.
It's
I'm
been
locked in, dude. I'm ready.
locked in. It's been a very long time since the last time we recorded. How long has it been? Probably a month.
Was
Maybe
that an
longer.
should I date that episode if we didn't already? Because if we like release these in short sequence, it's like, oh, that's from 3 months ago, and then this one's from a week ago or
Yeah.
whatever.
No, that's fine. We'll probably release this one because I'm going
You're traveling.
on a trip. I'm traveling
Your house, your new place is gonna be empty and unattended
for a whole
for a whole couple
week
weeks
and a half.
Yeah. Just if anyone's interested, you know, get sleuthing.
Yeah, so
you
my
know?
new address is joking. But yeah, no, so that should be fun. But I think we're gonna have to post this. So we'll probably have to post that episode at the end of October,
Yeah.
and then we're probably gonna have to post this one probably at the beginning of November. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But our goal was to get a little ahead, so that way we didn't have any problems. But I think we're set up and ready to go.
Yeah.
But
We'll get a
it's
reservoir, you know, what's the word?
Right.
Get someone retainer, you know.
right. It's officially spooky season though.
It is. Have you been doing anything spooky? You've been looking into
I-
anything spooky?
I have been looking into spooky things. I read into that. So yeah, I've been watching that. I also watched Sweeney Todd
You watched that a little bit, like week or two ago.
probably a week or two ago. Man, I don't know why I love it so much, but I love it.
Are you still obsessed with it? You still?
Yeah, I'm still obsessed.
That's cool.
I'd say I still been like freaking going through it, and it's just I don't know. I never heard it before, and so it was the Tim Burton adaptation, which they leave some music out, but
With universally beloved and non-controversial actor Johnny Depp.
well, he you know
Which maybe he is now. I feel
He's
like
not. No, he's no longer controversial.
because the whole idea of
because-
what happened was overall it seems like he came out looking like the less problematic person.
right,
The herd Depp stuff.
right. He was basically found out to be like there's a lot of defamation in there. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have come back around to him, but
Yeah, I feel
don't
like
quote
that.
me on that either.
Not that he'll get
You know,
hired
I'm
for
just-
anything ever again, but you know.
I do not endorse people because who knows? He might come out with something in a year or two. But Courtney, he's a pretty fun guy. And then what's her name?
Helena Bonham Carter.
That's crazy that you pulled that out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
it's
She
actors
she
and
was
movies,
also
man.
yeah, and then Sacha Baron Cohen was in it. His friend Alan Rickman was in it as well.
Yes. Oh, you had me, or I looked up the cast when you mentioned it, and it was just like Christopher Lee is in it. Count Dooku.
Yeah, Christopher.
Yeah.
No, he's
Or
in.
no?
He's not in that. He's in. Oh my gosh,
Was
Sleepy Hollow, which I also watched.
What was it? What
That's
was
a
it?
loaded cast. That's a loaded cast. Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, okay. Was that after
So-
Sweeney Todd? You got like kind of interested in?
That was before. I started
Okay.
with Sleepy Hollow. That felt like the more Halloween movie.
Yeah, that makes
And then
sense.
I was like, oh, I'll go to Sweeney Todd because it was kind of on Amazon. So I was like, oh, I'll just go through this stuff.
yeah,
I was getting prepared for Beetlejuice, which was okay.
that's what I.
And that's okay. Like,
yeah.
it is just it's an okay movie. And it's not bad. It's not amazing. It's fun. I'd go see it if you had a weekend, or go stream it. Maybe just go stream it. It's very like the vibe is spooky,
Yeah.
but
Spooky and like
I
I,
was
feel
very-
like I feel like from what I've seen, like a playful sense. You know, it's like a
yeah.
spooky.
Well, anyway, to get to the task at hand.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ben, well, maybe I should set it up, or do you want me to set it up, or do you want to set it up?
what we're doing? I think you could set it up because I feel like you.
I'll set it up.
To kind of give you a starting off point, I guess you were kind of the one who brought this up to me, because when we were talking about this next episode, I was in the midst of finishing up Human Anatomy in medical school.
Yeah.
Medical school.
He loves the human anatomy.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Don't you know it? And I was very busy, and I was like, I need something that's just like a low effort topic, in the sense that it's not something that's highly technical or detail fact specific, like the importance of the specificness of the facts isn't like
Right.
like that high, you know, like something a little more paranormal, interesting, spooky, but not like a criminal case, for example, where it's like
Yeah.
we had to make sure to put a certain level of like care into how specific we are
present it.
to know do reverence to the people involved. So this is a little more it's a different type of topic, and you kind of brought this to me as like, oh, this is something. Was
I
it the
did.
episode of that show you kind of referenced?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I had a couple shows. I think they had this as like a trend a bit ago on social media, but it was like the trauma shows.
Oh yeah.
And like people would reference like Courage the Cowardly Dog, and like the one scene where he's like, "Return the slap." You remember that one?
Turn the slap. I never watched Coward as a kid.
There was just some pretty intense imagery they used in that.
I think
that
I've
was kinda
seen it
freaky.
later. I'm like, yeah, I could
For a
see.
kid's show.
That would mess up. That would have messed me up as a kid.
So they had that. They had like Lost Tapes on Animal Planet. Was a
Dude,
big
that
one. I
would've-
watched that.
That would have freaked me out. I didn't watch that.
I
either,
watched that
but-
because I had my brother and sister a little older.
Yeah.
So they watched that. And then there was a show that was on Netflix at the time where Netflix was still like you would like send out for a disc and it would show up.
Oh yeah.
But they had some streaming services. I'm telling you, man, the things I watched when I was like freaking 14. Maybe I was younger. I was younger. I was like 7.
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But I was like watching like Sherlock with my brother and sister.
Dang.
Which it's not insane themes. It's just kind of like, it's a little.
It's not like I don't feel like it's content heavy. It's just probably like heavier. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going
very
on.
technical.
People are dying. But we watched this show called Monster Quest. If anybody's seen Monster Quest, hats off to you. But it was a show about like cryptids. So if you don't know what a cryptid is, cryptozoological animal. They're not necessarily proven, but things that people have seen, and there's been enough sightings to make it like a potential animal that exists or something like that. So they're talking about cryptids, and they'll sometimes go into like ghost category and different things. Technically, aliens. All those things are kind of like subcryptic.
Yeah.
Because they're like different, type of thing. Like potentially aliens are more, intelligent species, claim to be intelligent species, and ghosts and stuff like that are more like, supernatural. Yeah, you're looking. Yeah.
I'm just typing. I'm looking at like what crypt, the prefix crypt means.
Crypt means.
Because I know that a crypt is like a tomb. But like
Yeah,
there's like
tomb.
cryptid, obviously like crypto. I feel like there's like an idea of like almost something ethereal, intangible. Like I wonder like what
Yeah,
the
it's
origin
like-
of the word is.
Yeah.
Sorry if my typing's loud. I don't know.
No, you're.
Cryptozoology.
I can't hear it. Well,
Yeah, it's a whole
we
thing.
so we watched Monster Quest, and most of it's like Bigfoot and like the Wolfman and stuff like that. And so it's like all these things that can be explained as like an animal. This was like the first thing that as a kid I was like, what is this? Like I heard of ghosts before, I've heard of all this stuff, but
Yeah.
this is it. And so what it is it's the Monster Quest Season 3, Episode 21, Humanoid Terror from the Sky. And so you can say whatever it is. You could say La Bruja. You could call it a humanoid UAP.
Isn't La Bruja Spanish for witch?
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
that's because that's kind of like the idea there. Is there some
Don't
like,
quote me on that, but
No, I'm
yes,
pretty
yeah.
sure I looked it up earlier. Literally, yeah, it's right there in my search history. It's witch,
Yeah.
at least according to Google
Witch.
Translate.
So, it's very interesting. So, I want to talk about the day. So I'm excited, but it was like the first thing that I was like, this is really, I don't know what to do with this as a kid. You're
didn't
like,
have,
this
like,
is
a
a new
category
subject.
for it.
Right. And it was because it talks about it in like one of the encounters that someone has, which was the first story we'll talk about. But the encounter's like it attacks him. So there's a level of I'm sorry, I'm home alone.
You're good.
In this new place. We haven't unpacked, so everything's pretty empty. I don't know what about like an empty house or place just feels creepier, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
and you showed me like your view. I saw it.
My
You're
view
literally
is
looking at like
just-
the upper part of a staircase,
yeah, it's just
like
a
a landing.
staircase.
So you showed me
So
that.
my
I was like, oh, I would be freaked out just because it's.
So
like
my
a
fear is I'm
open-
gonna look down and like there's gonna be like a head peering.
Yeah,
up at
somebody-
me. Oh my!
peeking up. Yeah.
If I like literally like piss myself, that's probably why.
Yeah.
So just know that. Just know if I end this abruptly, it's because I think I probably shat my pants.
I would have thought you were just being rude, but yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's just
thanks,
somebody
man.
breaking into your house and you're like, ah, and then like it just cuts out. I'm like, dude, what the hell's Hunter doing, man? Like what?
What are you doing?
What a jerk!
This guy
Scheduled
sucks.
Like, how
Are
rude.
you guys seeing this? Oh, okay. Anyway,
Get a load of this guy.
but well, without further ado, thanks for
Okay.
joining us today. Our hope is to release an episode every other Friday.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're doing this right now.
We're gonna
So
do it.
You can find us either on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. And so, with that, let's get cozy, gather around the campfire, and hear some tales from Delphi National Park.
This is a very campfire topic. I feel like
I feel like it is.
because when I think campfire, I think some level of supernatural or paranormal.
Yeah.
It's
I think of it as like something that's explained and it has all these explanations, but it's more like it's brought very like, I think creepy comes in the terms of like something that is almost malevolent in nature. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So the idea of something being like wants to attack you is freaky. Like Bigfoot to me, I'm not going to lie, Bigfoot doesn't really scare me that much. much. I'm like, it's just kind of like there could potentially be an animal
Yeah.
that we don't know about. But like, there's some things that are talked about, like demons or other of these supernatural items that are like, no, these things are out here to like hurt you and kill you. And so it's like, oh, that's kind of like the Wendigo, for instance. That's a story that also kind of has and holds that air to it. It's like very like out to get you. So we're talking today about La Bruja, the Monterey Witch. You could call it a lot of things.
Humanoids, like
Humanoids,
dare I
flying
say
humanoids.
floating humanoids.
Floating?
Is that, have we introduced that idea yet, or is that?
Oh,
is that too
Ben,
far
you're being a
forward?
little insensitive right now, okay?
I just didn't know. I knew you said like Bruja, and I was like, I don't know if he's
I think they prefer to be called flying humanoids, okay?
my bad.
But yeah, so we're going to watch a video here, and to those who are listening, I'll explain what's going on.
Do you want me to
But
just full screen this?
Yeah,
and
go
then
for
hit
it.
Play.
Full screen this and play. So what you're seeing here, so I'll let you know, but
Do you want me to
you
play
can
and then you'll
play on it.
narrate it, or?
I'll narrate it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Do
Let's
you
get
want
spicy.
sound?
This is the
at
first time we're
all?
doing video.
Or do you want?
I don't know.
What is that?
I don't
sound?
want actually. I don't want sound because that's gonna scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, and we'll add sound in. Yeah,
it's just like in this ear.
just on the side
And
where everything
nowhere else.
is, and it's just like.
So it just sounded like a woman like was like whispering into my ear.
Yeah, I don't know
at that
why it
moment.
was
I
just my
like,
right.
no.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll keep it muted. We'll keep it muted.
Um,
But anyway, let's
yeah. So
play this.
so we can narrate it.
So that's
So
there.
what you'll so that's
So that's happening.
So that's a thing. That's a thing. So this is in the cliffs around Monterey, and this is it appears to be like a hunched over person, like with a cloak on or something, just floating. And so I think Ben, you described it as a treble clef.
Yeah,
If you think
I couldn't think of the
that
word when
music.
I was thinking. I was just like that thing in music. But yeah, treble clef kind of shape. Also, and this kind of like, I feel like adds to the weirdness of it to me. But
Yeah.
bringing it back to anatomy, because I was in anatomy because I'm in medical school.
Right.
We studied the embryo, like human embryo development a lot. And like that is like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
general shape of like a fetus.
I was about to say.
When it gets to like I can't give you like the weeks exactly, but I feel like midway through the process, there's like this level where it's just like this arch and like that's that kind of shape, It's like, which adds I
Right.
think almost to
It's-
the humanoid aspect of it, where it's like this looks to me like something that is like living, like is has like a human characteristic, reminds me of something about like human anatomy almost,
Yeah, it does. It does. I was about to mention it. It does look like almost like a fetal position of like a baby.
Yeah, like just
Like
doing this freeze
curled
frame
up
right
in like
here.
a cocoon.
It's just like this kind of arch, hunched over.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I was about to say. So I forgot to mention this, but last episode when I was editing it, I said weird like 50 times. I showed like a couple of my friends and then my sister, and she was like, "You say weird a lot." I was like, "Gosh darn it, dude!" And I know it was our first episode. It was like our
Yeah.
first little crack at it, but like I just in that moment I was about to say weird again. I'm gonna try to avoid saying it at all this episode, just so I can make up for.
Yeah. What do you think? If you had to describe the idea you're getting at with the word weird, with like different words, which I guess is what
Oh,
you're already
yeah, I
trying
would
to do.
s-
But like, what does weird mean to you?
It's just this like there is an air to it that is unexplainable in a sense. Or I would say this: we have no natural comprehension of the operations of this thing, right? So like, if that makes sense, like there's no way in my mind I can wrap my head around what this thing is, if it's like, for instance, natural, because we think of flight or anything like that as like wings and stuff like that. And so that's like, you're like, oh, I don't know what that is. And so that's why I think weird is the word I use so much, especially because like,
Yeah.
we kept saying like ambiguous or mysterious and those type of things. I just wanted to avoid those. But that's where I'm like, I feel like it's without, like, I don't know what it is. A, like, so it's an unknown, and then B, it's I don't know how this could be, you know? I don't know how it could be, so what it is, how it could be, and then probably, like, you know, it's always the why. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? What is it doing there? Why is it there? Why is it floating?
What even is this? How
What
is
is
it doing this, and why?
And why is
Yeah.
it doing it? You know, and those are the things, like, I think if you can't really answer those categories, for instance, like Bigfoot
Yeah.
could be an animal, you know, and you can explain animals as animal things. But this, for instance, I would categorize that as weird.
Yeah, it's
So
Bigfoot. There's a level where it's very grounded, and it's like, at most, it's like this would be scary in the sense that it's like he's a super tall, big creature.
big guy, yeah.
But it's
And
like,
you
yeah,
can
it's
meet
like,
him in the
but like bears are
wilderness.
that. Like there's other things that I know of experientially. Not like I haven't like interacted with a bear firsthand close up, but like, you know, like
Right.
I can at least wrap my mind around it because there's other things I can correlate. I can make connections to other things in my knowledge or my experience. But then there's stuff like this where I feel like your brain, I feel like as humans we are pattern seeking. And then you
Yeah.
see something that just
Right.
defies any pattern you've ever seen,
pattern.
and you're just like, what?
Right.
I don't even. It almost like gives you a sense of dissonance that's like instinctual. I feel like, or like subconscious, because you're looking at it and your brain's trying to do something automatically, but it can't, and it's like stuck.
Yeah, and like, for instance, because I think like there was like Bigfoot or the Wolfman or whatever these things, and as a kid I was like, oh yeah, those could exist, right? And then there's like ghosts and demons, which as like, I mean, Ben and I both grew up. We can out ourselves now. Both grew up as Christians.
It's after the first episode. We've already got them all.
We-
We've got them all hooked, man. What are they gonna do?
We were referencing it, and I was like, oh, I might as well talk. Yeah, we both grew up Christians, and so and we still are, just with
Yeah.
you know, I'd say we've matured into a place of a little bit more.
We're not like the weird ones. I mean, gosh.
Yeah,
We're like
We're
the
not like the
cool
weird
ones,
ones.
but we're also authentic and true to what we believe in. But we're also not like super like pushy about it, but pushy enough, you know. We're like we're all things to all people.
exactly.
So please like us, please. I need you to approve of me, please.
We're just trying to say we don't hate people. That's pretty much the biggest
Yeah,
thing.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
That's
I-
at
I
least
think-
speaking for myself.
I think everybody should. Yeah, there's an air of. I try to love everybody. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean I like everybody, but I try to love everybody, and I try to.
I think
You try to understand people's perspective.
at the root of it all, I think it's loving God and loving others.
Yeah.
And obviously there's more to it than that, but you know, I think there's a core.
Yeah. So yeah, Ben and I grew up like that, and I continued. So seeing like demons or supernatural things never really bothered me. I was like, oh yeah, you know, that's a thing. You know, I never really got into demons because I was kind of like, whatever, they don't. And recently, I've been more like, oh yeah, this is kind of interesting. So
Yeah.
and I try to keep a level of safety in that realm because, well, you know, whatever your belief is on that, whether your belief is that there's a God, there's no God, or different God than a Christian God, spiritual world, and these, for some reason, some of these things do have an effect, whether it be just simply mental health or whatever. So because of that reason, I try to be careful. But with it, I could categorize these things. I think this was the first thing that as a kid, I was like, I don't have a category for this. Like, this is like real, but it's not an animal. I just don't know what it is. So anyway, long exposition on that. But I don't know. So Ben, is there any other thoughts you have on this video? Because I'm curious.
Not really. Are you gonna go? Is there like anything to like that story surrounding like this? Like it was the 2005, 2006, like the sightings here with like. Are you gonna go
Yes,
into that
yeah,
a
I
little
can
bit
go
more?
into
I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because that's kind of a little separated from this video.
So yeah.
I think like what you were saying. I think generally, and this is an idea I've been like thinking about with a bunch of different things. I won't. There's like a whole tangent I can go down with this, but I feel like there's something particularly unnerving to me about movement that isn't natural, or like movement that isn't what you see day to day.
Yeah.
So like with this thing specifically, the way whatever this object is moves with almost like it's traveling along a fixed track or line, but it's also floating in air, where presumably there's some level of wind, there's some level of variance, like as it moves through space in terms of where the wind is going, but it's just dead set. It adds to the level of like you were talking about, the uncanny, the incomprehensibility of it, where it's like, what even is this? Yeah.
I think that lines up with that expression of like humans moving in ways they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And like just our innate reaction to be like, nope, no, don't want to interact with that thing. And that's a whole different tangent on itself.
That's a whole episode,
which we can get
I feel
into.
like, but
that's a whole episode, probably.
But this, touches on some stuff. So touches
right,
on similar
it's like that's
feelings, ideas.
Yeah, it's like that's a person in the sky, but they're just floating. So anyway, but yeah, no, that's a great point. I think that adds to the level of it of just like, I don't know.
Because if there's like a still object that looks weird, it's like a statue can look weird, but it's not gonna come at me. But like a moving thing that's floating, it's like this thing could go anywhere. This thing isn't moving in a way that I understand, but it's moving, so it's not gonna just stay in one place where I don't have to worry about it if I leave. It's just like, I don't like it. It's moving. Why is it moving?
Yeah.
Is it sentient?
Why is it moving?
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know what to do it.
What's going on?
So,
Anyway.
so this is a story from 2005.
Mhm.
You'll have to forgive me. I don't. It didn't say, but this is from the Monster Quest episode. This was like the first interaction that I had seen, and it is from Officer Leonardo Sanmaniego. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
That's fine.
pulling in my Spanish from high school. I wish I paid attention more.
I don't think anyone had high standards for us on that anyway. High expectations,
good.
if you will.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm sorry if I did it. But so San Maniego was tailing a robbery suspect. So he was in his cop car, was tailing a robbery suspect when he saw something like, quote, a black bag, like a trash bag, falling onto his car. So it's like, how he says it is, he's driving, and then behind him he sees this thing kind of float in front of him. And so it began to float in front of his vehicle and stand up. It was covered in a shroud, he said, of some sort. It's kind of like a cloak, right?
Yeah.
So I was envisioning the first time you see Voldemort in Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
The first Harry Potter movie.
Like
how he kinda, float.
The first
You know the
time
original?
you see him on the back of
He's
Quirrell's
drinking
head?
blood
Oh yeah. Unicorn blood.
in the woods.
And he's
'Cause,
like-
it's technically Quirrell, but
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. And he's like hunched over, and then he like, yeah.
and he like floats. So he said the figure. This is very interesting. He said the figure looked female, but did not appear to be human, which I thought was an interesting phrase.
I already hate that, man. I don't know why that it didn't majorly affect me, but just he basically said it looked human, but it didn't.
Yeah,
You know?
it
And it's
looked
like,
human, but it
okay.
didn't.
What are we dealing with
So-
here, man? What's going on?
So as he shined the light at the humanoid,
Mhm.
it turned and looked into his direction, putting up the cloak to cover. So it was kind of imagine someone wearing a cloak putting up. I wanted to say, he never said hand. I want to say it was kind of like a hand being like this type of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh,
Almost like blocking the light. Like, whoa.
blocking the light. But it was shrouded in this cloak. And to cover. When she put down her hand, he went on to say she had a completely black eyes but did not appear to have eyelids. That was a direct quote. So completely black eyes, no eyelids.
Yeah.
And so then he went on and he says he then saw the creature pull up its arms. Like a T.
I see you looking around. You're like, is the humanoid in the room with us right now?
No, please don't say that. Don't say anything like that. I will piss myself.
Oh, I know. You're safe with me. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
you
here.
put up this when he saw her. Yeah. Sorry. And so, but I joke around about it because I'm just thinking like, what happens if like you're no clipping in frickin' Gmod,
Just like
and
just the character model just.
But I also think about how creepy that would be though to see in real life a person.
Yeah, I mean that
just T-posing.
I would be terrified if I saw like a video game, like in real life, just somebody moving like a video game character does when they're like no clipping and they're
Right.
T-posed. That's a terrifying
Yeah.
idea, man.
That's a terrifying idea. But so they're in this like cloak.
Okay.
Yep. And so then when this occurred, he began to frantically call for backup as he, quote, felt in danger. So he was like, this thing's going to attack me,
Yeah.
basically. I don't know what it is, but it's like coming towards me. But the thing about it is he said it never touched the ground. It was always floating. Right? And so San Maniego immediately began to back up the cab and floor it. So he like pull him back real quick. As he continued on a pedal, he heard the quote unquote woman crash against the windshield.
Oh my gosh.
And he saw her. This one to me could either be extremely creepy or extremely funny. Saw her put up her face up to the thin glass. So like this.
Huh?
So like it was like this to him.
Jeez.
So that one's creepy to me because I'm like, oh, just imagine this thing like slamming into you and then just being immediately like looking at you.
Well, like hostile, but then also not like just hitting
no.
you. It's like personally hostile. It's
But,
up in your face.
It's like it's up in your face and it's emotionless because it like doesn't have eyelids.
like it
So it's
slams
just
against
kinda
your windshield and then it's just there.
Oh, stop!
Yeah. No.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, that's like jump scare 101, right? Like that's like
Ben,
so
That's the
hardwired
thing.
in.
Oh, Ben,
Oh,
no,
no.
Ben, I'm so scared.
We have to stop the episode, guys. I'm sorry. It's
No,
been
we'll
great.
keep
Welcome.
going.
Thank you so much for checking in. And Hunter is down for the count. He's huddled in a corner.
We're like halfway through the episode, and I'm like puke is just coming out of my mouth, like fully pale, like just.
And I'm like just trying.
Having
I'm
it-
not like acknowledging it. I'm just trying to keep going. I'm trying to power through. I'm like,
You're
yeah,
like, yeah,
Hunter.
Hunter,
do
this
you have
is
anything to add? Do you have anything to add on this? You're like,
Just having a panic attack.
okay,
as I'm just-
yeah, okay. Anyway, moving on to the next story here.
So when he saw her face, he immediately passed out. Immediately
Oh.
passed out.
Because did he
Um,
crash his car as he was running back?
I don't know. I don't know if he was like if he crashed into something.
I just know
But-
I looked up like a Wikipedia entry, but it was in Spanish, so it translated on Firefox, and it mentioned how like he was in reverse, and it says at the end of the street he crashed, but I wasn't sure if that was just like
That would make sense because like imagine like
he's like flooring
there's
it backwards,
Sheer panic, like,
and then
I
he
need to
passes
get it.
out. So I assume like at the very least he kind of like
Right.
crashes somehow.
So
hit
he
something.
called for backup. So they approached the scene, and this is where I think it's just fun. This is
Yeah.
where I think this is the humor. They said, so they approached the scene and woke him up, and they said she had slapped him in the face 3 times.
That kind of like
I just imagine.
that diffuses all of like the tension out of it because it's like, oh my gosh, what are her plans? What is this
What is it gonna
creature's
do?
intentions? And it just goes and just leaves.
It just like shows up and it's like this.
It just-
right? It's like bah, bah, bah.
just clocks him. It's like, oh,
It's
okay.
kind of just like, what is he gonna do with him? Oh my gosh!
oh my gosh,
Oh my gosh!
is he gonna disappear? Or is it gonna like
And
control his possess him? And it's just
and the man just gets slapped.
just sucker punch, dude.
Just sucker punch.
That has like I have a category for that, you know. So it's like, oh yeah, He got
I know that.
beat up a little bit. Okay.
So
I can
that was
categorize
kind of.
that.
I
Its
was laughing
intentions
at
were
that bit.
understandable. It just was
Right.
pissed off.
I was like, hey, get out of here.
Get out of my
You know,
face.
like,
Stop shining your
Jeez.
brights in my face, dude.
if you think about it, like he's freaking out because it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to attack me. But in all reality, like think about, like you're just moseying on over, and you just see these two blinding lights. You're like, dude, that's
Yeah.
just disrespectful. So anyway,
Anyway.
so that made me laugh because I was like, oh, that's just so funny. Because that again, it's the whole idea of weird, but you could categorize that.
It's a little
And
more
I was like, oh, okay.
understandable. It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I get that.
some weird creepy thing, but it just kind of like slapped him around and then left.
Right.
Not the worst
So
thing.
there's a video online. I'm 100% sure this is fake, but I just wanted to show it anyway because Ben hasn't seen this. But I just was like, this is a great. We'll show it up on here. It is a video of what is said to be a la bruja. And it's just creepy. I won't be able to describe it well, so sorry, those who are listening. But here, Ben, just play it, man.
I'm
You
gonna
can
make sure
listen to
the
this.
sound level's good. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, don't close the curtain and then. Oh.
Do you see its eyes?
Yeah. Oh, why would you keep looking at? Just get away. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that freaky?
That is
And it's
freaky.
just
The
like
sound is the most unsettling thing to me because it almost
Yeah, it's
sounds like,
like-
a person just going like, "Arr," but then it also sounds like kind of like a dog or an animal or something, like kind of like
Right.
just like whimpering or bleeding, like a sheep
Yeah.
bleeding. I don't know. That's
it's the air to it is like
and the way it moves.
it's
It's like swimming almost.
it's almost like it's just floating.
Yeah.
So I thought I was like, oh, that visualizes like just a freaky concept. But someone did go through and again, that's why
Kinda
I'm
break
very
down how
sure
they
it's
would have done
fake.
it.
They break down and
VFX-wise.
I mean it's pretty obvious when you start actually looking into it. So, but again, kind of interesting. So, that's the kind of beginning of this and how it started. But as it evolves, like Ben, and this is where you can take over because as it evolves, it gets. I mean, it's pretty consistent. I'll say that. And here, well, you can get into it. So,
Yeah.
so that's the first story that kind of what popularized this thing, and it started to move this a little bit further. I think there's a couple other videos that started. So forgive me if I get my history wrong. Technically,
good.
or my
Yeah.
cryptid
Our
history wrong.
very thorough analysis of the history.
A very thorough analysis.
Or reading
I
of
thought
a
that was
Reddit
a-
post.
Yeah, so that was the one that was like the police had documents of this thing, not visual documents, but like had said, "Hey, this guy experienced this."
There's a
One of our-
police officer giving eyewitness
account.
testimony of this happened to me, which
Yeah,
my mind, I was just thinking like, oh, he's a police officer. Why would he have reason to lie? But then I'm also thinking about if he crashed his car, maybe there'd be a little incentive to be like, well, there was this entity that
Just think about it,
slapped
be
me
like-
across the face. Some alien.
guys, this
It
thing just
descended from the
floated onto
heavens.
me.
You saw
it
like
just
a
descended.
trash bag just floating over him, and he freaked out. And then he just crashed
And
his car, and he's
backed
like,
up.
"Dude, it was chasing me.
It
I had
could
to.
have been this.
I barely got away."
And then all of his buddies were just like, "Yeah, dude, we got you, man. We got you."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how-
happens to the best of us. man.
Totally understandable, man. Totally understandable. I would be scared. I would crash my car too.
Yeah, honestly,
Okay.
you should get a medal. Honestly, for that, standing up to that thing,
That's funny. to think
surviving.
about.
But yeah,
What was I going to say about it though? Oh, there's one more thing. Oh yeah. The other thing that it mentioned, it talked about like they found this little carcass. It looked like an alien. I'm 100% sure it's a monkey. Literally a monkey carcass.
just a little
They're
monkey,
like,
dried up monkey carcass.
It has a tail and it has teeth like a
Whoa.
monkey and nails like a monkey,
Whoa.
but it's not a monkey. And I'm like, that's a monkey. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. It's kind of the same carcass. or the alien thing they found in Mexico,
Oh yeah, the mummified alien remains from Peru that
which could be like Mayan or whatever.
Yeah, they the problem with that one was there's evidence showing that it probably is faked, but also the guy who has them in his possession is very stringent about anyone doing testing on it for whatever reason. So it's kind of just like, oh, well, we'll have like one guy do testing, and here's an anthropologist that says, oh, this doesn't seem human, but he's a anthropologist. I don't know if that would necessarily
Right.
translate over well to like biological analysis of like a
Right,
thing's
you're like,
DNA. It's like, okay,
This is it.
sure, this doesn't seem human to
Sure.
me.
That seems right.
Yeah. But yeah,
Um,
kind of like that, where it's like, this is a thing. Maybe it's
Yeah.
an alien corpse. Maybe it's cake. Who knows?
Jeez, I'm hearing like little creaks and cracks
In the house, or
in the house.
is it my
And it's
chair shifting, or is it like
It might be.
it
You
might,
know
I'm
what?
kind
It
of
might
shifting,
be.
and I have this. It's a squeaky
Okay, good.
chair. So
I can normalize that then. I can explain it.
well, listen like to this. Is anything coming through there? As
I
speak,
can't hear it,
as I
man.
speak. Do you hear anything?
Oh,
in the
now
background?
I can hear
Yeah,
it.
okay. I
All
think it's
right,
when I'm
okay.
speaking and I'm moving. So that's me.
Anyway, with it.
That's all it is, Hunter. That's all it is.
Okay. You just see me like levitate in my chair.
There's just like
It wasn't
spirits
that,
flying
man. It
around
wasn't
you
that.
and lightning and no, it's just me. I swear.
It's just my chair,
It's my
Hunter.
chair, man. Why are you freaking out?
But the apparently in the area of Monterey, there's caves. Which is
Okay.
very interesting. That gets into the David Paulides idea, which is like, oh, cave systems have to do with
Cryptids and
these weird
caves. They love each
cryptids
other.
and caves. So that's one of them, and then the other one is that a lot of ancient Mayan carvings show, and they have apparently history of what they call bird people,
Oh.
which would be like people who would float and come down to towns and terrorize the people and then go away and float. And so people were like, huh, maybe. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
They
to
probably
talk
just
about.
imagined it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff that they like put into their culture and their art and like showed
Yeah,
and like
them-
in their historical record. It probably was just them making it up, honestly.
these idiots. That's a
They're probably just too
falcon.
dumb to understand that it was just like a really big bird, dude. Come on.
Yeah, that's a toucan, you dummy.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this was indigenous to Mexico, but you get the idea.
I don't think so, but it's possible.
It could be that they're like, I don't know what this is, and
Yeah, and I think
you
there's instances of that, but sometimes it gets so specific where it's like, okay,
right,
like
where
is
multiple
that-
people have seen something specific. But that leads us into this next clip, Ben, because this thing that looks kind of like a treble clef.
Mhm.
I think right. Let me make sure.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the little like
Can you say that again?
it's like an ampersand, but more with more personality.
Yeah, I would say an ampersand with more personality.
Let me.
Ampersands are kind of like, treble clefs are kind of like, You get the difference between those two?
Yeah, they're a little more sassy. Yeah, no, it literally like that, I think that literally is kind of what it ends up being shaped
It's like Hear it again. Okay, ampersand.
Uh-huh.
Treble clef.
Okay. Whatever you say, man. Honestly,
They're
actually,
different.
could you do that one more time for the mic, please?
Yeah. I'll do it really close.
Just for the audio
I'll
only
do it really
listeners.
close. So an ampersand is, right. A treble clef is,
A little more feeling in that, I think.
Exactly. It's just a little bit. You get the idea.
Yeah, I think so. I think the people at
Anyway.
home know. The listeners at home know.
You get it. You guys understand.
You're the real ones. You're the real heroes.
So here's the weird object scene.
Flying
Tell us about this.
over-
Tell us about this.
I'll tell you about the clip,
Ben.
man. So should I credit like the? I'll just do that real quick. So a lot of this information, I think that we talk about the clips and whatnot, are mainly sourced from a post that a guy on Reddit organized super helpfully because he just kind of linked.
Oh, yeah,
it's
it
like
was
a
really dope.
comprehensive. Like here's a bunch of different videos that all kind of show this phenomenon. And I think it's
Yeah.
the user. I really am not creative. That's his username. I don't know what his real name is, and I wouldn't say it if I knew because I'd probably be doxing. I guess I don't know. But that user compiled it, and I appreciate.
We're trying to give credit to someone, and we accidentally get them like swatted.
He lives in this address, and he typically is out of town. He's typically out of the house from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Send him your fan mail. Like, guys, like, we just gotta really support this dude.
Yeah,
you know?
we gotta show our support adamantly,
Yeah.
intensely.
Anyway, sorry. what we-
But yeah, he compiled this, so credit to him for giving us, I think, a good resource, an outline to kind of go through. Here's a bunch of different things, and what do we want to talk about? But near the
Yeah, and
end,
we'll link that. Like
we
the
should
last
definitely.
episode, we'll link all this stuff.
This would be a good post to
tough,
link because
right?
it goes through like 6 major stories and then a bunch of little ones. So at the end, there's these just little different posts on Reddit and different users posting videos and photos of humanoid
Right.
type phenomenon that they observed in their
Right.
day-to-day life. And the one that I wanted to show here, because I think it's the clearest video I've
Yeah.
seen, it gives like a really close-in picture, at least compared to a lot of the other ones, is this one from a user. I believe he said he and his friends saw this object and both got videos of it in Canada. And I'm just going to put this
Yeah.
full screen here and I guess just play this. So he zooms in on
Yep.
this
There it is.
treble clef.
Treble clef.
And I think this is the most detail we really see of any video. You see like there's like an appendage kind of on the front. There's like almost like a head structure at the top. Again, like
what
very
is that
much
little-
reminding me of like a embryo or a
What's
fetus
that little
would look like.
appendage there?
I'm not sure.
See that
Do
thing?
you have any guesses?
Pull it back real quick.
If I can.
I-
Let's just meditate upon that a little bit. Think about what that could be.
Yeah, think about.
Possibilities, man, are
You're
endless.
you're starting to agree with me though. Ampersand.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Treble clef.
Yeah, I think this video really
You would
brings
agree
that-
with me.
This video brings that to bear, I think.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, but but basically this shape though. When was this taken? I'm sorry.
I think it's 2018, 23 years ago,
So-
actually. So that's 2021.
2018.
2021.
And then the video at 2021.
Yeah.
Video at 2005. I would say it's almost identical shape, pretty much.
Yeah, if I bring this one, where is it? It's this one here. Like literally.
Yeah, that's super similar.
You can maybe even, I don't know if you can somehow like. end
Oh,
up showing these
I'll put up a
sides.
side by side.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to put that on you.
Here's this one, and here's this one. Maybe I can do a little overlay.
Let me see if I can get a close-up freeze frame of this one because there's a lot of time where it's just bugging.
I'll find it. Worst case.
Where did it go? Right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Just comparing those two. They both have
They're
like
pretty
the
similar.
overall arch with the appendages in their own places,
Right.
And this is in Canada in 2021
Yeah.
versus a video taken like on I'm sure a completely different type of camera in 2005
Right.
by like
But
in a completely different context. Just
Yeah.
raises questions, It's like why is this
interesting. There's-
happening across
how,
different places of the world?
right, how these are correlated. And it's not like, because the other thing too is like, we had so many videos we could have shown. There's a government drone video, which we won't show, but
There's a bunch of
that-
more of these that are
there's just a lot of
a
them.
little more blurry, but you can still get the general shape. Some of them are later at night, but I don't
So
think
you-
any
you
of
guys
them
can go-
deviate from this shape majorly.
Yeah. So you just, if you want to look into that more, just go to this Reddit post. We'll link it down
Yep.
there, and they just have a bunch, and it's all, I would say, the same object. Now I think there's some that are a little like, because they like try to get a really up close thing, and they're like, oh, it's an embryo of some sorts, and it's kind of like, I don't know about that. There's a little.
There's the few that
They're a little
they
too
get-
good to be true.
there's
type
some
of
that
thing.
very, for some reason, very heavily resemble like something rendered in Blender, but like
Yes, it is
rendered
just-
in Blender in like 2006, if that even was a thing. Just like very like smooth,
the
but
shading is off, and
in focus,
You know,
like metapod, whatever. That's another word I think they use a lot is metapod.
Metapod.
I feel like that's almost like getting at something like insectish almost.
Metapod.
Real quick. But yeah, that like there's a few on there where it's like this is like why is this thing in such good focus and then everything else like super blurry around it. So
Metapod is a Pokemon.
what?
Look this up.
We're gonna get
It does.
we're gonna
It's
get
legit. Looks like a Metapod.
trademark. We're gonna get a copyright claim for saying a word of a Nintendo property. It's crazy.
Is it really? Is there any other?
Is that what it's called? Is that what the word they were using? Maybe I'm.
I know.
bugging.
I think you're right. It's a Metapod. Okay. No way. Hold on. What? I don't know, man. I don't know what this is. Because I was going to read this thing, biology. Metapod is an insect. I was like, oh, from Pokemon that resembles a green chrysalis. So, okay. So there you go. You have treble clef. You have a fetus, like a fetal position. And then you have a Metapod from Pokemon. That's another. And it does look like it. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I guess that's what people were referring to. I'm not a big Pokemon guy, so I just didn't know.
I didn't know either, man. I wasn't a Pokemon guy.
Were you a Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
I wasn't any of those kind of guys. Again, I was also homeschooled. My parents were great.
What
We
does
had a
that
great
have to
time.
do with
Yeah.
anything?
What do you mean?
Like, do you mean like the subset? Of
It was more like the
homeschoolers?
subset culture where it was like,
Demonic.
well, no, I wouldn't say that. But
Do you know about that?
well,
That's a whole
actually-
thing because they're pocket monsters. They're
What do you
little
mean pocket?
demons that you carry in little balls.
Oh, now I'm understanding. Sorry. Yes, there are.
You don't want kids carrying
homeschool
demons in their
families.
balls? Do you? Do you support that? I want to hear your statement on this right now. Are you in support of that related to kids' balls?
Are you in support of demons being carried in kids' balls? Their little balls?
Do you really stand for that? I think this is a good question. You know, just break this into like a debate. I need to hear an answer on this.
I do. No, homeschool. The caveat is always sheltered. Don't know how to interact with the world, and like pop culture, what have you. So,
And it's all
unfortunately,
true.
Yeah, I'm already
Trust
adding.
us.
I'm just adding so much.
It's all true.
No, my
We've
mom
seen
was
it.
a little. My mom was much better about being like, "Hey, let's go. Like we're gonna interact with some of these subjects, and we're gonna say, hey, America isn't perfect, and here's all these representations of that." Most homeschoolers are like, "Oh my gosh, I stand on USA and God alone." Which,
Well, I feel like for me, it was more seeing other people, like Harry Potter. We read the Harry
Yes.
Potter books as kids, and we watched the movies.
I
my
love those
parents,
movies.
my
We had a
mom,
good
I
time
remember
with
she
them.
talks about how she bought the first book for my older brother, and was reading it to him as a kid, and then she would go
Yeah.
to our homeschool group, which was a different one from the one you and I were both at, and they would talk
Yeah,
about like,
yeah.
oh, you hear about that Harry Potter stuff? Like it's satanic, and she was like, what? How? Like she had read it, and she's like, this is like a fantasy book about
Well,
like spells and like. Like it's very like spooky Halloween, but
You
it's like
ha-
very
well-
clearly like an adventure story. Where
it's
not about like, okay, kids, now you need to summon spiritual entities.
yeah.
Do it now.
Well, it was fun. It's funny too because then you have like, and also This also gets back to Satanic Panic and Dungeons and
Yeah,
Dragons and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
It's
too,
been a
but-
thing for a lot of, I think, different
Yeah.
topics.
But it's funny because you have like Harry Potter, and they're like, I don't like this, and I'm mad because I hate that this people are posting the liberal agenda through Harry Potter, and you have all that. And then you have the people who are like, they're like, oh, but Lord of the Rings. Oh. Lord of the Rings is the best thing I've ever seen in the whole entire life.
Catholic magic, which it isn't really magic. It's actually just, it's like what the Pope does, I think. It's just that. Gandalf's just doing that. And we're not Catholic, but it's not satanic. It's just.
It's not satanic, and that's the thing. I was like, come on, yo.
Yeah, so that's the kind of
That's
like
the whole thing.
I feel
That's
like
the thing with
my
Dungeons and Dragons,
subculture
too.
is it's not as much about like the patriotism, if you will, true-blooded, based American patriots. It was more
No,
about.
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't that. I was never.
It was more about like
ever
just like
that either.
here's the things that are we need to be like discerning in this, which I can. I don't want to sound like hypercritical of that because I think there's a good impulse in being discerning.
Oh,
in, like,
yeah.
what you, especially like what you let your kids,
Right. I
get
just
into
thought, like, you know,
and watch, especially at a young age, like what entertainment you let your kids watch, and I think there's a lot there to be talked about and discussed and like discernment to use. But I think there's
It can
also
go
there's
far.
also a approach where I think critical thinking is good, and if you're abandoning
critical
critical thinking either extreme, like going either way, you're probably not doing something good. You're probably
right. And it's the same. Like as I said before, again, like we both have studied like demonology and all these different, you know, what's the word? Cases of demons and all
Yeah.
this stuff. And most of them, whether you believe it or not, most of them have to do like someone uses a Ouija board. And so my parents were like, "Hey, we don't care what you watch, they did care what we
Yeah,
watched,
but they weren't like
watch.
Harry Potter's gonna turn.
Well, we were obviously watching like Sherlock and Lost Tapes. If you haven't seen Lost Tapes, it's a crazy show. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how they got away with it, but I mean, we got away with watching those things, and my parents. It wasn't even like, "What? What are you watching?" It was just kind of like, "Okay, cool,"
yeah.
But they were very much like, "Hey, be very careful when it comes to like Ouija boards and tarot cards, because it's like that stuff is pretty." Just be careful with it and the reason why you're doing it or what you're using it for, because it could cause some problems. So
I think
anyway,
it's the
that's a
intention,
caveat.
And I think with stuff like Ouija boards and
Right.
tarot cards, you're getting into a level where even if you're like, I don't think like a Ouija board is a direct hotline to Satan. It's like, well, your intention, the whole point of a Ouija board is like to reach out to like spiritual
Exactly.
entities, and it's like, well, that's a whole kind of overarching practice that like if you look at the Bible, maybe it's not a great thing to try to do.
Yeah.
So even if you're like, oh, it's just like a Ouija board sold by some game company, it's like, well, the intention, the purpose of this thing is clearly something that is kind of maybe potentially problematic,
problematic, and it's more of like, even if don't believe in the Bible, don't believe in that stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's some bad stuff around that. And if you live in a more naturalistic perspective, especially, you could then boil it down to, hey, this might not necessarily be spiritual, but it could be very problematic to mental health, for instance. Like that could be,
Yeah.
which would make sense. Like imagine if I got in my head like, oh, this thing can contact, demons, and one of my friends like pushes the thing without me knowing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we got a response from this. And then later I'm like, am I haunted now? And like you're stressed, you have anxiety, sleep paralysis. That's the whole thing. You get the idea. I know we're a little off topic, but it's. But how did we even get on this tangent, Ben?
I think we were talking about. What were we talking about? We were talking about our upbringing, homeschooler type stuff, and how
homeschool.
there's the reactionary attitude that some people have. I'm trying to think how we got to that. It was. I don't think we were talking about Christianity. I don't know. I guess we'll have to listen back afterwards. We'll have to piece this back together.
We're getting there. So so anyway,
We can get back to this if you want. Like we can just keep going.
yeah,
on the
we'll
route
keep
we were
going on it.
going, because
So we see this kind of weird. It was because we were talking about Pokemon, Ben.
pocket monsters. Yeah. That's why.
Pocket
That's
demons.
why.
That's hilarious.
The demon.
Yeah. So anyway, weird object flying over
Canada.
Canada.
One and
that's that one.
surprise two, which is just a little thing. This is not really anything major, but it's just another thing over
Oh, it's
Ontario.
another one they fought on.
And it's just
Ontario.
photos,
Interesting.
but again,
yeah, it's
that
the same
recurring
thing.
object, recurring
It's the
shape.
same thing,
And look how far that is away.
right? It's like
How
up there.
high it is in the sky. And then, this one has the post. Did you want me to
Description.
Yeah, I can read through this real quick.
Sure,
Because
sure.
it's just like a little short paragraph from the guy who posted it. He says, I don't post on Facebook much, but this is worth sharing and open to everyone's interpretation. As some of you know, Blank and I, he says someone's name and he blocks it out. A friend and I own a place in northern Ontario, and we spend as much time as possible. I spent most of that time fishing. Anyhow, last night's adventure on the water turned to looking at the sky. Along with my friend, we arrived at the falls part of our lake and spent 5 or so minutes baffled by the object in the sky before getting back to fishing. This object was stationary when we arrived, but shortly after started to drift off until it disappeared beyond the tree line. The pics don't really do this justice, as we could see it much more clearly. Definitely not anything man-made, balloons, weather balloons, drone, etc. Just looked like a big rock in the sky, as big as a car. There was no wind, so it wasn't just somehow blowing away. I don't know, it was really weird anyhow. So then he kind of talks about how he doesn't think it's necessarily aliens, just something weird.
Just something weird.
But yeah, just the kind of his the things he notes there about how there wasn't really any wind.
It's just floating.
But it's just moving. Which
he
obviously
even said
it's high enough that maybe there were winds up there.
Yeah.
But
he even said it was like it was just floating there for a second.
it was
Just
stationary initially.
Stationary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the weirder part, where it's like, okay, I can understand if something just floats over you, and it's like that could really be anything. It's hard to
That
tell.
could be like a balloon.
But
or
if it's just
whatever.
sitting there,
Yeah.
and then
Could
it starts moving, but it's moving in that slow, calm, linear way, it's like, well, that's what is even going on here? How does
Yeah.
something that's floating like a balloon just stop?
Yeah. So.
How? But anyway,
How does it happen?
I want to know.
We have them one more. Is it the 19? It's kind of more in this vein.
1998,
1998 video, which is just basically here. We can pop it up.
the
here.
year of our Ben, the year of me.
And we can
when
talk.
I was born.
We can just talk over it.
Yeah. So I think this is a longer video, but I'm just gonna play this section of it because it shows. This is like a slightly higher resolution version of it. But this is from 1998. I believe it was at some kid's birthday party, who a videographer for the birthday party just noticed these 5 objects floating in the sky. I think they ended up estimating it was 500 meters, something like that.
Okay.
And they all have that same similar shape that we've been talking about. They're grouped together. And I think they said they stayed there for 20 minutes or so. I can pull up, let's see, the reference here, because that's pretty much gives a good idea of what they look like.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Huh.
Are you seeing it on the description?
Yeah. Here, let me. I'm not.
Here, I can read. I got it pulled up here. If you want, this is from the Reddit post. If you want me to read that.
Sure, go for it.
To summarize the video, 7. So 7. I only saw 5 there, but I think there's 2 more out of frame in that clip we saw. 7 humanoid objects were filmed by a birthday party photographer in Maipu. These objects were floating at over 500 meters above the ground and remained there for around 20 minutes. This is where it gets more interesting because they start to get certain organizations involved. So it's not just some random person on the street saying they saw that and
Right.
that's the end of it. So an analysis of the video conducted by El Comité para el Estudio de Fenómenos I'm probably going to butcher this. Aéreos Anómalos. So I think it's just the Committee for the Studies of Aerial Phenomenon.
Yeah.
Found that there were no signs of parachutes in the video or any other kind of propulsion or lift. They did, however, find that several spheres can be seen surrounding some of the UFOs, or unidentified flying objects. They were described as orbiting the objects. The video and subsequent analysis caught the attention of the National Institute of Discovery Science, the NIDS, in the United States, who conducted their own analysis of the video. After a month, they concluded that the objects were actually people on a type of small paraglider that was riding gusts of wind while attached to a terrestrial vehicle. And then the guy in the Reddit post basically says he doesn't really buy that explanation, mainly because those types of paragliders typically fly at a height of around 30 meters, which would be 100 feet, not 500 meters, entering probably a different section of the atmosphere.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I think this is the word for this one is the Spanish word for paratroopers. I think that it's
Okay.
like paracaidistas, something like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what they initially were thought to be, and then the Mexican agency didn't end up really seeing any evidence of parachutes, but then the U.S. agency, after a month, was like, yeah, they're probably just using paragliders at a height that is unprecedented.
Yeah,
And just not moving.
it's probably just paragliders.
Yeah,
Is that? Yep, that's it.
that's it.
We're gonna move on now. Have fun with that.
Oh, one more sentence. Some other things to note. The witnesses said that the humanoids seemed to be over 3 meters tall. I don't know how you tell that
Yeah,
from
I
that
don't know how you do
distance.
that.
That's a bit weird, but,
Hold on, hold
interesting.
on. That's 9 feet tall. Well, probably more 10 feet tall. 10 feet tall. That's
Oh, excuse me. I said
Rounded up.
Mexico, but that was actually in Chile. In Chile. So, yeah, that's what Maipu is.
So, yeah, so we see these things kind of by themselves, and in this video, it kind of shows that they're kind of together. Interesting about this one, though, it says that there's like more rounded objects to them, which is really interesting. And that kind of gets us into, because I'll keep us. How long have we been doing this?
How long have we been going?
Oh yeah,
We got to wrap it up, man.
we're golden.
Oh, yeah, we're
To the
fine.
last couple videos. So these all kind of pull in the same vein. But this one, I think, Ben, you had said you thought this was probably the most interesting.
Yeah.
And we'll just watch it. So we'll explain it as at the end, but we'll just watch this here. Here we go.
I want to make sure.
Show us what we got.
I'll show. I think I'll have to skip like a little bit. But yeah, I'll just play this. And I'll mute this because I don't think we really need the sound.
So that's on one of the camera views.
So this is a security camera along a street. And it picks up this object, kind of like what we've been seeing before, descending and then kind of coming to street level.
Yeah.
So we have that. And then I think it's right.
So there are, what's crazy about this one is, so this is one of the views.
Yes.
And this is probably the best, this is the better views. That was the one, like, of the camera. I don't know why I'm pointing. That won't
Up
be
there.
helpful. Up there. The camera, like, down the street. So the first video shows in the same kind of form, like the treble clef, Metapod, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's very, like, iridescent.
Yeah.
And, like,
Translucent,
the light-
maybe? Like it
The
seems
light
like it's
touches it really. I think the best way to describe it is like a jellyfish. I know people use
that's
that.
a word people have used where it's
Like
like,
a deep
kind
water
of
jellyfish.
clear, but it's reflecting light.
These
Yeah.
moments alone
I'm back.
make me question. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, it's just like you said, jellyfish. It's reflecting light in a weird way, but it's also kind of see-through.
Right, it almost gives off its own light, but it's also like reflecting light, and it's also like translucent. It's hard to categorize. But
Yeah.
yeah. So this one I think is the better angle.
Yeah, this is further down the street. It's kind of pointing in the like an opposite direction of the other one and capturing it. So we'll play this real quick. Is this actually where it is? Maybe not. Sorry, I skipped to the wrong place. Or it's
There
there
you
we
go.
go.
You're good. We'll get it right on the.
So it's just kind of floating. It seems to put down some sort of shadow. And the way it moves again is that like eerie, linear, smooth.
It's almost
It's almost like it exists outside of like atmosphere, like outside of
Yeah.
normal physics.
It just, yeah. It's almost flickering. It's almost like it is producing light, and it's like blinking, but it's also like there's not constant. So it's just all like the whole form of it is producing light. I'd almost even say it's like,
Did it just? I think it did. It just motion activate that light? You
yeah, I think it activated that light there.
Think?
So, this one is just really. This would be extreme. So you have two camera angles showing the same thing. The street and everything is interacting with it. And then here in a second, I think
Oh yeah.
they walk out.
They come out. Oh, does it come by again, or is this just replaying it? Because they show it once. Oh, I don't know if it's a replay or if it's a second
Maybe
one.
it is. Maybe it came back again.
Let me see if it does the light again. Yeah, I think it's just a replay.
Yeah, okay, it's replaying it.
So then this is a whole video, like a news report on it. But later on, after it passes by, it's actually the residents of the house of where this camera's from. It's a doctor and his daughter, I believe.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can see them on the street looking down the direction it went. And they're just clearly noticing something.
Well, to me, it's a very human response.
Mm.
You know, like you're curious at first, and they're like kind of conversing. And like, what is that? What is that thing that we see? And then one of them's like right here. She's like, I'm not about that. Like, it's almost like the funny thing where it's like, yeah, I'm not sure what that thing is.
Yeah, and I think
so
it's
then
that reaction more than anything, where it's like if it was just people looking down the street, like whatever, and maybe this is out of context. They interview these people in this news report, and it's in Spanish, so I didn't like thoroughly look into like what they're talking about. But the whole news report is structured around this event,
Right.
and these two people go on there and like talk about it. So she like eventually dips. She's like, I'm out, and then the doctor, her dad, is kind of like looking down there. He starts walking away. And eventually, at some point, I think, he just books it. He's like, okay.
Yeah, he just starts running
I'm
too.
out. I'm going inside. Gets his keys out.
He's
Kind of looking that
laughing about
direction.
it.
He's like,
Which is kind of like what I feel like sometimes when we lived in Georgia for a bit, and we had barn owls. And if you've ever heard of the screech of a barn owl, it's freaky because it sounds like a woman,
oh,
screaming.
yeah.
like terrified screaming. And so my mom and I went we got home one night and we were sitting out there and we heard this in our backyard. And our backyard was like not deep woods, but it was woods.
Mm-hmm.
Like thick enough that if a murderer wanted to go out there and kill someone, they could. And so we heard it just screaming. And it was those things that you're looking out there like, what is that? And then you kind of laugh about it because you kind of want to play it off a little bit, but then you're kind of like, actually, what is that? Like,
You definitely, like you're saying, I think that's such a human reaction to like see something
it's
weird,
superhuman.
get kind of freaked out, and then try to like laugh about it because you're like, oh no, like you start joking about like the worst possible scenario. You're like, oh yeah, somebody's getting murdered
Yeah.
out there. Oh no, like, and we're about to die. Like this is gonna be terrible. This is the way I'm out. You know, this is the way I
And
die.
yeah.
It's a way to like cope and be like, well, it's not. You say something so ridiculous that you're like, well, you know, it's not that probably, but then you're like, well, what? In the back
What
of your
is it?
mind, you're still like, I don't know what that is. I'm just joking about a horrible thing that it probably isn't, so I feel better.
But I'm like legitimately like now like, wait, now that we're actually asking this question, what the heck is that thing? And I don't know. It's so. And the way it kind of responds to the
And it turns on that light. too.
environment.
I didn't see that
environment
earlier.
around it.
There's like a
It,
motion
like,
activated light that it
activates
goes
a motion
past.
activated light.
So like maybe it's all faked, but also like, I mean, obviously any of this can be faked, but it's just I think this one,
Sure.
on first glance, feels very much like there's just something that goes by. You see people's reaction to it. It's
Yeah.
on street level. I think even we were talking about this before we started. The reason we kind of wanted to put this one later on is because it's a little more grounded and feels a little less removed than a lot of the other sightings, which are
Right,
usually
'cause
like,
they're
really
very
far off. And
Far off. This one's like on the street.
there's this thing that passes by and people react to it. It seems to, on some level, react to its environment around it by like producing a shadow and has motion that activates the lights. It seems
Right. And I'll say this. I think in totality, as we're walking through this podcast and start talking through some of these things, I think what I think we could get into is to just be like, okay, we can just doubt all this stuff. You know,
Yeah.
we'll doubt all of this, and we could. This could be faked.
True.
There's a lot of these videos that could be faked.
Probably is.
And-
We should stop talking and end the podcast.
And so I think it's more. I've had people like, well, a lot of the YouTubers we watch will watch these things and be like, hey, like I know Charlie does this sometimes. Actually, no, Charlie's usually pretty Moist Critical's pretty.
Skeptical, I feel like.
He's pretty skeptical.
Yeah, he's
a lot
usually
of the
like, I don't
time.
think any of this is real.
I don't think this.
I think it's more like a Wendigoon.
Yeah,
like even
he's
when
like-
they were all on the red thread, Charlie was always kind of the one like, it's probably nothing. And then Wendigoon and Jackson are more like, could be something. Who knows?
It could be right, and they make the comment that they're like, hey, we're gonna act like this is true and that
Yeah.
it's not CGI. This one feels more real. I know the witch one that we watched was definitely CGI, so that's why I kind of made the caveat. But this, if you're putting on your like, this is an insane CGI artist who's able to make a really, really good and compelling thing.
Yeah.
This feels pretty real, and so that's and it goes at the kind of a similar angle as the cop was kind of describing. Like it comes down and then it stops.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going, just hovers across the road. And so, I don't know. I feel like those two things are different. But this definitely is,
It's something.
it's something.
It's moving.
I think it's something. But, so yeah, I think is that it?
I think so. Do you want to, like, to kind of close this out, do you want to, like, talk about, I guess, what we think this could be?
Yeah. I don't.
'Cause
Yeah,
I think
and
we both
think,
think it's clearly aliens, and they're
Clearly.
coming. They're here already.
they're here.
And actually, we
Yeah.
have a whole, we have a lot of information about this. We have a pamphlet we can give out. There's an organization actually that we both started.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah, I see what you're doing.
If you want to
So-
join,
Actually, these are angels.
we're gonna give you the
And,
true answers.
This is the sign of the end times. Okay, and so all you have to do, it's really simple. Okay, all you have to do is give us $300 to $400 a month. Okay, and you'll get these like cool little food pods that you can put in your bunkers.
Go to
that's pretty cool.
DelphiNationalPark.com /shop, and we will actually have there are survivalist food buckets that
Food
have
buckets.
400 days of rations for 3 people. It only costs $1,000 per bucket.
Only
Think
a
about
grand
that.
per bucket.
That's less than $2 per meal or something like that. Who knows
Yeah.
for sure?
Only a grand per bucket. That's pretty crazy.
You know? And if you actually buy 5 buckets, you'll get a complimentary, flannel.
You'll get
Knapsack,
a complimentary
knapsack.
toilet bucket.
Portable toilet hole shovel. You know, like those little shovels you dig like
Yes.
a hole to poop in.
You
Get one
can
of
you
those.
can make a corner of your bunker, and you can say, "Hey, don't worry, this is the over here."
Dude, there was this I think it was like a model, like a blueprint of like a Cold War bunker, and it was just like a single room for like a
Yeah.
family, and they showed like there's like 4 bunks, and then there's like a toilet in the middle of the room, and somebody's like, if you're going this far, why not just make the toilet like a separate little room? Like, why are you all just gonna be in there with like the toilet as like the centerpiece? Just having to
That's
just like
awesome.
poop in the middle, just like, okay, it's my turn. You got like,
Like, why
5
didn't
by
you just-
5, for like
Why
8
didn't
by
you just
8
make
square
more?
feet. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what this is. You could go down a more religious area and say it's like angelic. You could go more down the UFO route.
What would you go
Which
down?
is-
What are your
I
thoughts?
don't know. I think this is more. I think this is more in the UFO realm.
Yeah.
I would say. The first story I think could be, if you're going any round, it could be more. I would think that would be more like spiritual, or I don't know. Maybe that could also be like, because the way that he kind of describes it, kind of is like that natural, like the alien kind of thing. I don't know. That one feels like it could be either. The later ones that we saw, I think, could be a little bit more like, especially the UAP videos that have come out from from the Pentagon
Yeah.
and how they move. It kind of feels a little bit more, feels similar. There's also a lot of other things. Again, that's the other point too. Is like there's plenty of theories of people trying to normalize this and make it like, oh yeah, it could be this, and sure, it could be. We really don't know, and that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
And so one of them was like people on jetpacks.
Oh
And,
yeah. Did you
know,
want to close with that little video thing? Of the jetpack guy, or
we can just show it right here. We don't have to watch it ourselves.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah. It's basically just a plane goes by and
it's over L.A.
Takes
I think L.A.
Yeah.
airport, and there's this. It's a video of a guy like filming out of an airplane window, seeing what looks like a kind of the thing we've been talking about, like kind of the general shape, but like it also could be. The theory was like it's maybe someone in a jetpack.
but no
above-
one. The other weird thing about that the video is
Yeah.
that no one was reported to be out there.
There was
And
no
no one knows
sanctioned man in a jetpack at the same level as like a plane trying to land.
a plane flying.
Yeah, like a jet trying to land at the LA National Airport or International Airport, you know?
Yeah, so that one does have some interesting to it, and I think the easiest one is like if we're trying to ground it,
Yeah.
there's always weather balloon, which I think is funny, but it could be it
Could be a weather balloon.
could be a balloon,
Could be some sort of
could be
like
a balloon,
Yeah, any sort of balloon type structure.
But I think the one is always like tech
Yeah.
that either from our government or other governments, and it's some kind of like satellite imagery type of thing, and
A probe.
either arg. I like a probe type of thing,
Like
you
a
know, or
droid, like that
Star
droid.
Wars.
That's like the movement almost reminds me of too, like those droids in Star
Yeah,
Wars,
yeah.
the original
They just-
trilogy. How they just went
Floating.
like in Hoth, that one.
Yeah.
Floating around.
Like
I'm Sam. I'm
yeah.
or whatever. Look at us. So I think that's more my theory. Where are you standing? Where do you think it is?
I probably would take a more naturalistic perspective, so I would probably think it's something man-made. Like
You think it more would be like
probably more like honestly, I probably would lean for the stuff that like looks weird. Maybe something with like some technology, maybe like military related, or I mean, like obviously there's videos where it's like the government's releasing it and they're like, we don't know what this is. So I think, but I feel like I either think it's that or I guess it could be something alien. I'm not really a big aliens guy, but like if it was gonna fit any description, it seems kind of like technical, but also organic, not of this world, but not like spiritual either. Except for like the description of like what you said, the cop, his encounter seemed more maybe like something spiritually related. But a lot of this stuff just feels
Yeah.
like technology that I don't fully understand. So
yeah.
if I had to like put a guess, my most reasonable guess would be like it's something man-made, maybe like another government or our government or some company is testing something out, or it's maybe something alien if that is like actually a thing that is there. You know, I'm not really big into that, but I'm also not someone who's like never anything ever. You know, like I would love aliens to be real if they were. I'd like to know, but
Right. I'd like to know. You'd like to know.
yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
It's just weird, and that's the word of the day. Actually, weird. I wonder how many times
That
we
was
said
the
weird.
word of last pass.
No, I feel like we've said it a lot this episode too.
We said it like
I think I've said it more. Honestly, I think I've been not
well,
conscious
just
of
because
it.
I'm afraid of it now. I'm like afraid to use it because I'm like I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know. Well,
Well,
on that note, you want to
I think we could close
this out?
Yeah.
We have some fun ideas
for
that
future.
we're in the works of for future. So if we start picking up on people start clicking on us, liking our stuff, we have some fun ideas of interacting with people.
What does that mean?
You know. What do you mean? What does that mean?
Interacting like with fans?
Yeah.
I loved it.
You know,
You looked at me like there was like a specific thing we had talked about, like, oh, you know that thing
there's a couple things.
that
Well,
1,000 subscriber special. Where we're gonna bring everyone to a room and then
Well,
make them
well,
fight
we
each
might
other
do
for
one-
money. Like I like you were just like, yeah, you know that thing, and I was like, Sure.
I put 100 people in a room with one butter knife.
Whoever comes out
Last
alive wins $1 million.
And this new Tesla Cybertruck.
But first, a word from our sponsor, Rocket Money. It's always some sort of money thing, dude. It's always like, here's this credit card, or here's a thing that's going to help you not be financially irresponsible. Money. But yeah. I'm down for anything like that. Not the butter knife having people kill each other, but like, like building on this, interacting with people, maybe doing live streaming stuff, or I'd love like to when this gets posted to like see what people think in the comments.
Yeah,
Obviously,
we love your
this
feedback.
This is a very, I feel like, cursory overview we did. So like if people have more details or different debunks or whatever, would love to hear that, because I always love to
hear it.
learn more about stuff like this.
We also wanted to be a little bit more. We were talking before. We want to be a little bit more conversational, which I felt like we were.
I think so.
So if you like that, great. I feel we have a lot of fun with it. Being a little bit more conversational. So I think that was a good change of pace. But you can let us know. You can say we hated that. We hated that you did that, and we don't like you as people. And so therefore, just tell us about the stuff.
I feel like if you're watching,
and that's fine.
That might not be what we're going.
That's
for.
okay.
I think what we're trying to do is
I'm not mad about it.
to use our amazing personalities.
Yeah.
I think that's what we care about, is how great of personalities we are. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. We're just so cool. Yeah. No. I would love to do more. Potentially live streams.
I think live stream would be so fun, man.
Yeah, we could do a live stream.
Bro,
we
imagine
could,
like I think aren't they remastering Until Dawn?
Oh my gosh!
If that's like a multiplayer thing we could do and like live stream, that'd be so fun.
That'd be a fun time.
Or something
live
like
stream.
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Or we could do. I think we're gonna have one where we're gonna do a message board where you could share your real stories and like.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Some of our we do like a little grab bag of random stories you guys sent in and submitted like that are. You claim to be real, and
do we have
we'll talk about it.
At some point, we probably should get like an email that we like put up.
We have one, but we should probably not share it because
no,
they could probably get into our YouTube channel if they really try.
Let's not have it be the email for our YouTube login. Probably. Let's have it not be that.
So,
but we
yeah,
should, I think, eventually do that so that people can reach out with more in-depth stuff instead of just like comments on YouTube if they want to do that.
So. Feedback, we love it. Leave a comment. I think that's pretty much everything.
Are you
so
looking over
let us know what
looking over that paragraph we have written out?
the paragraph
that I'm supposed to read.
You're supposed to read. I'm like, oh no. But yes, thanks for joining us in Delphi National Park today. Again, links to the original stories will be in the description, as well as any important information. If you like the show, enjoyed it, and hear more, again, follow us, subscribe, whatever platform you're using. Just
wherever this will go up.
Wherever this will go up,
at least YouTube, and hopefully
it's gonna at least use Spotify. Yeah, I remember at the beginning we were like, oh yeah, Spotify and Apple. It should be pretty self-explanatory when you get up there, but
I feel like if you get those three, that's it. Like I don't know many people who
those are the three mains.
Like Bandcamp. What are other ones? There's like a bunch of obscure ones, but like I don't know. Just hit the main ones.
If you want us to do that, great. But
Patreon content. We need to do Patreon content.
We do Patreon. Sure, Ben. Yeah, sure.
Hunter and Ben, twerk off, oiled up. Exclusive Patreon content. What if we paywalled like the second half of this episode, like in Patreon? Like, so people only get through the first half, and then it's like, you gotta join the Patreon.
So
I know there's a podcast that does that.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's like a bad thing. I think it's interesting. Like, that's their strategy.
That's a very interesting strategy.
Like you said, there's usually like a 3 hour, and they're only the first hour they do publicly, and then it's like, you gotta do Patreon.
Well, if you they're like sitting there and they're like, oh, I have this bomber joke. So this guy walks. Boop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
To be fair, they do live stream the whole thing, I think, when it's happening. But then like after, it's the recordings that they paywall. So It's not like
Okay,
you
well, that
can't
makes
watch it, but like it's just if you're not there, then you miss
I-
it. So.
I know there was like a channel which I really love. I still love their content, but Watcher, and it was like Shane, Ryan, and then what's his
Oh
name?
yeah, is it BuzzFeed Unsolved? Is that what they are? Or no?
Yeah. They used to be that, and then they moved to their own.
Watchers.
Well, they were all BuzzFeed.
Oh
people.
yeah.
What's his name? Why can't I think of his name?
You said Shane
He was-
and
Shane, Ryan, and what's the last guy's name? I can't remember. I'm sorry. I can't think about it. But I still love their stuff. I still think they're great. But they tried to. Yes, Stephen Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah. They tried to paywall all our content. That's not our plan. If you ever were wondering, that's not our plan. They were like, oh, we're going to take all this free content and paywall it. And I love them very much. And they had a very good apologetic video. And I don't know how we got to this, but very good.
we were just talking about
apologetic
I think we're like brainstorming about our podcast as we're doing it. So
Yes.
it's a good thing to do.
Yes.
Very organic.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind the scenes look
You get to look into where we are.
into our psyche.
But yeah, so I'm excited. Excited to do another. So this is gonna go up when it goes up, and
We'll take it from there.
yeah. All right. Well, with that,
Thank
We're
you
signing
all so much for joining us around the campfire. Tune in next week, next week, probably, to hear some more tales from Delphi National Park. There you go.
okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.